For Coach Jackson, Coach, with the roster's makeup right now, lots of, predominantly in terms of your starters, regulars, Midwest players, and I know you touched on this earlier, but any concern at all with, the move to the Hockey East in terms of that versus your other option?
I don't believe so. I think that the important thing to recognize is that we're probably going to be going east 5 times, which means that we'll probably be going west 5 times. I mean, I think it actually is going to create a more national schedule for us and potentially open up new recruiting opportunities out east. There's a few Irish Catholics in the east, so hopefully we'll be competing for a few of those top players. And I certainly believe, we made the effort to speak to all of our recruits that are coming in over the next 2 or 3 years in the last few days, and I felt absolutely no reservation. I think that the bigger thing is recruiting is generally based, just like real estate, on location. And, I think that our home games, having a 18 to 20 game home schedule is as important as anything. But hopefully it's going to create even further opportunities for us in recruiting nationally.
Coach, Hockey's dropped one of their normally play in-conference opponents 3 times. They dropped it down to 2 to allow those extra non-conference games. How important was that in your guys' decision to move Hockey East?
Well, I know in speaking with a number of the coaches from Hockey East is that I think they were kind of clamoring for a smaller schedule so they could play more non-conference games. And with the Big Ten only scheduling 20 games, they're going to be looking for a lot of non-conference games. So, we're hoping that we'll be able to continue our relationship with rivals, Michigan, Michigan State, potentially the University of Minnesota, potentially Penn State. I mean, the potential for us to play a number of the Big Ten schools is going to be a big part of this. And I think that was extremely important for our program. We're going to have a great conference schedule and still play for a championship in the conference and a playoff championship. And I'd be thrilled to play at Boston Gardens at the end of the year. So there's all kinds of positives as far as the conference schedule goes, and the non-conference schedule is what, in my opinion, really is going to is create a really exciting experience overall for our student athletes and our fans.
Question from Mike too. I don't know if anyone has any. Just wanted to ask you about how that you initially looked toward Notre Dame and when that conversation started.
Well, I'd say that we've been internally as a league looking at an opportunity to make the league better for some time. I wouldn't say that this was any kind of this certainly wasn't a short-term proposition, a short-term decision. There were a lot of, we had a number of conversations over the past couple of years as we saw things change within the landscape, just generally in college athletics. And certainly there was some clamoring amongst our coaches to maybe shorten our conference schedule a little bit, shrink those games, as you had already mentioned, and open up some non-conference opportunities. And one of the ways you can do that is by adding teams. But we weren't, I don't think we were going to be quick to just add just for the sake of adding. We wanted to find, as I mentioned earlier in my brief remarks, we wanted to find the right partner. And I think we certainly feel like we found that in Notre Dame. Yeah.
Does having an 11-team conference now speed up the process of trying to get a 12th even number team in?
I'd say we're just getting this part of it done. So we're not quite there yet. Yeah.
Not really in that conversation yet, then?
No, not quite yet. We're trying to let the paint dry, so to speak.
Fair enough. Did Notre Dame's geography of being far outside the radius of the conference currently has, was that a stumbling block for you guys at all, or is that not a factor anymore?
I wouldn't call it a stumbling block, but I would say it's a distinctly different move for our league. I mean, obviously we have a pretty tight league. Everybody rides buses. There's not a lot of flights. There's no flights actually, unless you want to go to Maine. But this was an opportunity for us to expand our footprint as well. I mean, Jack and Jeff both mentioned the national kind of structure of this league now, and that's one of the things that I think attracted us to the opportunity with Notre Dame. Yeah.
Mike, when you took it to coaches and administrators across the league, what was their initial reaction before it got real serious? What was the initial reaction?
I would say that it was very enthusiastic. Yeah, I think all the coaches in our league recognize the program that Coach Jackson's built here and the history, and not only that, obviously in the Northeast, we know there's a great deal of support for Notre Dame, and one of the things that we're looking to do is to increase the visibility of college hockey in our area. Even though we've got one of the premier leagues in the country, we're still working hard to get people to pay attention, and this is something that we think is going to make a big difference.
Anybody else have any other questions for anybody? Okay, great. Thanks very much for being here. Thanks, Tim. Anybody on the telephone that has a question for any of our participants here?
If you would like to ask a question, you may do so by pressing *1 on your telephone keypad at this time. We'll take our first question from Dick Baker with the Republican Springfield, Massachusetts.
Hi, this is for Joe or Mike or even anyone from Notre Dame. Is the plan for there to be like 2 home games, Friday and Saturday night kind of thing, and then the next year to go out to Notre Dame, sort of alternate? And as far as the rest of the league is concerned, does that mean 1 home and 1 away within the conference?
You're getting a little ahead of us, but preliminary talks on schedules would be something along the lines that Jeff referenced. We haven't put anything in stone yet, but they'd probably be half their schedule they'd play at home and half they'd play away to minimize their travel. But things like tournament format and the question we had about growing the league, this is all the fun stuff that's ahead of us. All the talks to date have been geared to what's happening today. But Dick, your idea on the schedule is probably close to what would happen.
Thanks.
Once again, *1 for questions. There are no further questions over the phone lines at this time.
I think that's it. Thanks very much. We appreciate everybody being here today.